Hello everyone, Jorge here with Abalo's Cloud Native and Nexus technologies. Nexus for linking, Nexus for connecting. And this is the first video that I'm doing for our community, the DevSecOps Dojo, with Abalo's Cloud Native technologies and a partnership with Cloud Underground. So what we discussed in the past, we say that the best way to learn public cloud, and when I say public cloud, I'm referring to AWS services, Entra or Azure, and Google Cloud Platform, okay? The best way to learn those public cloud is by learning cloud native technologies. Well, Kubernetes is part of cloud native technologies. The Kubernetes is the underlayer platform, or basically the base layer where all the other technologies, containers, will interact with basically the cluster. We call it a cluster. So you can deploy cluster, EKS cluster in Amazon. You can deploy a AKA cluster in Azure or Entra, and you can deploy a GKE cluster in Google Cloud Platform, okay? So again, let's repeat that so that one is stick here. The best way to learn public cloud is by learning cloud native. So I'm gonna show you how to learn public cloud by implementing or deploying cloud native technologies, and we're gonna start with Kubernetes, okay? And we are choosing one public cloud today, which is basically AWS services, and they call it the EKS service, okay? At the same time, I would love to tell you here that we are choosing cloud native and one role in a specific, one role that is actually in demand, and that's actually the platform engineering role. As you can see here, it says skills needed. So they call it the full stack engineer. Why? Because the platform engineer, right, will interact with the SRE engineer or the site reliability engineer, and it will interact also with the DevOps engineer. So the platform engineer is a little bit of everything, full stack, right? The DevOps is automation, right? Developing stuff, communicating with IT operations, right? Which the platform engineer don't get involved with the IT operations, the DevOps do, right? And then we have the site reliability engineer, which is only worried about performance monitoring, right? So once you understand how those three roles interact with each other, who are which responsibilities for each role, and where do you fit into the picture, because you're gonna have a few careers. So by doing platform engineering, you're gonna have a few careers. You understand how to work with DevOps, you understand how to work with the site reliability engineers, you're gonna learn cloud native, and you're gonna learn public cloud by doing cloud native. I hope that it sticks in here. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say here. If no, go back. I'm gonna repeat it again. The best way to learn public cloud is by learning cloud native. We're also choosing one role, the platform engineer. Usually for a platform engineer, that requires you to know Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the underlayer platform where basically everything else comes on top, right? Containers, applications, and everything else you can think of about monitoring, observability, tools that you develop to do such a task, like anything, right? So let's keep moving forward. So let me just scroll down here so you can see some images to get a little bit excited. Okay, so we're gonna start with this, the Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, EKS. And after that, most likely we're gonna go with Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS, right? And then you're gonna go with GKE, the Google Container Engine. All right. So also, it's important if you learn how to deploy these services, which they take a lot of hassles of you deploying and configuring everything manually, right? They're doing it for you. They even have roles or users that are specifically already designed with the right policies for you to just spin a cluster like that. But if you have to do this manually, home, on premise, or in a virtual private servers on two Linux machines, it will be way complicated, right? But you know what's more interesting about this? That you may be clustering. So you're gonna have a AKA cluster, this one, and you're gonna have a EKA cluster, and you're gonna have a Google cluster, right? What about if you cluster all these clusters? Wow, that would be amazing. What about if you have an application here, and then for somehow Azure fails, and you have a system where you're connected with Amazon, then Amazon cluster takes over, or maybe the Google Cloud takes over cluster, And then you're going to have containers on top of these Kubernetes, right? Docker containers and many other technologies, cloud native. Cloud native is huge, right? What about if you learn how to do all these? Because those are skills in demand for maybe having the best team. You could be the best team with me, where we become number one deploying Kubernetes services, scaling applications, in security too, and basically being number one when it comes to cloud native technologies. Cloud native is huge. There's there's a lot of open source tools out there, and if you learn how to use those, and you know how to make them work together in different environments, whereas on premise in the cloud, or what we call cloud agnostic, and you learn how to do zero trust, and you make things so secure. And because every platform is different, right? You may have the GUI may be different, so you have to learn how to click here, how to click there, or maybe you can use Terraform. Maybe by using Terraform, you can automate things. That's more of the DevOps thing, right? But again, the platform engineer is everything role, right? So that's exactly what you're going to be learning with me. Why? Because Kubernetes is being used everywhere. Even when you're working or you're talking about blockchain technologies, they're asking for people who knows how to use Kubernetes. They're asking for people who know how to work with containers. Or maybe if you're working with AI, or maybe you're just talking about front end, like web applications, right? What about the web application failing Amazon? Oh, well, maybe you want Azure to take over, or Google, right? And that gets complicated too, because databases, right? They got to replicate and have the same data in case one public cloud fails, the other one takes over. So you need to learn how to do all these things. And that will make you unique in the market. Doesn't matter if you're working in blockchain technologies or AI or front end, all these. The whole planet is asking for this open source, right? And Google and cloud native is open source, and public cloud is perfect for you to land a job and spin things quickly, unless you want to do everything manually, which I recommend for you to understand how every piece, every component, how it works, and do last for that too. For me, I'm going to help you with this, because this is going to give you the skills for you to land a job so you can start having an income and then scale. Maybe have your own business, maybe do consultancy work with us. Who knows? There's a lot of ideas, okay? So let's keep going to AWS, all right? So why do I say that the best way to learn public cloud is by learning cloud native? Well, AWS have a service called EKS, right? So but EKS also needs networking, also needs users, it needs roles, it needs policies. So we need to create all that, and then you're learning public cloud already by doing Kubernetes, which is cloud native, right? So let's go there. Let's go straight to Amazon Web Services, okay? And we're gonna talk about VPCs, virtual private clouds, which is the networking section of Amazon Web Services, okay? We're also gonna deal with IAM roles, where you create roles and users, okay? Roles, users, and policies. You create policies, a group of policies. You bind it together, then you assign those policies to a role, or you can assign those policies to a user, right? I'm not gonna get into this video. I won't do much of this because it is a little bit longer. I wanna make this video short. And also this video is going on YouTube so everyone can see it. But if you are part of my team and my community, part of the DevSecOps Dojo, right, which you can find information here, right? My partnership with Cloud Underground and Abalo's Cloud Native Technologies, which is my personal brand. My company is called Cloud Canada, but I have a personal brand for me to teach, for me to share, for me to grow what I'm trying to do here, which is a master thing of technologies and entrepreneurs, people who have the desire to have their own personal brand, their own company. I'm going to help you with all this, okay? So if you want to know more information about this, it's only $399 Canadian. You can sign up anytime you want. There's all the information here. We talk about mental health, support each other, few technologies, cloud native, blockchain, cybersecurity, and what is the other one? Cloud native, blockchain, cybersecurity, and AI. Yes, we have a team of AI here. We have our friend Michael, which is already filling all these with where you should be standing with AI. So right here, AI, you see AI here. And then we have the SecOps in here for cloud native. And then we split. Basically what we do, we break apart the technologies. We put it into pieces. So for you to be able to understand, okay, I know what it is, I know how it works, right? Because it's so hard. It's a lot of information out there. People don't even know where to start, or what is cloud computer, what is zero trust, what is cloud native, what is Kubernetes. People is like have no idea. So it is really hard but me here and my team, members of the dojo, we are going to help you through this journey. And we know that sometimes you want to give up. We know that sometimes it's like, this is too much. I'm not into it. I can't get it. No, I'm just going to quit, whatever. No, we know. We've been through that. So what we do, we help you to break your mind. Basically, we help you with the mindset that you need to have to basically keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. And let me tell you, once you get that you get that rolling in your mind and the way, it's a personality that you gotta develop. It's an attitude, it's a discipline. Hey, let me tell you, you love it. But when you don't have it and you have no direction, where you don't know where you're going, hey, that's where you get in trouble. You start blocking your mind, your thoughts, and they take over, and then you don't end up doing anything. Then your career falls behind. AI is here. AI is supposed to be smarter than you and I in 5 years, right? And much more. Blockchain is there to simplify systems, databases, networking, all that. Well, things are not looking so great. So we teach bleeding edge technology. We want you to be there. We want you to be competitive. So let's keep going with this, okay? Check out LeakCloud.ca, find the tab for Abalo's Cloud Native, and let's go. So the first step, I have a document for you. As you can see, the logo in the background. I've done a little bit of these labs already, okay? I'm gonna provide you this document, okay? So I call it the SOP, the standard operating procedure, for you to deploy what I'm doing here, so you will not be lost. So in that document is only the networking. I already created the roles, but I'm gonna give you everything for you to follow these videos with the PDF, and you can understand and have the feeling that you are doing something that you will use for work or for your customer, right? Because I've seen a lot of videos online, most people use like for the virtual private clouds or networking part of the AWS, usually default. Well, what about if we add a little bit of networking or users and this and that? Then you learn in public cloud on the fly, where you learn cloud native, all right? So let's go there. The first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna create a VPC, okay? So you're gonna choose the VPC only, and then let's do Abalo Cloud Native dash VPC, all right? So it's asking for a PV4. This is networking. I'm not sure if you're familiar or not with networking. Networking is huge, but I'm just gonna go on the fly here. It's not part of the main topic, but you will get it. If you're looking to learn networking, go to Cisco, CCNA. That's the first certification. So let's assign something here that will allow me to split this CIDR or CIDR into 2 different subnets. I'm going to have one subnet that will be for the EKS cluster, right? The Kubernetes cluster, and another subnet for the workers or nodes, which is where you will host the pods of the containers. So again, let's split this in here. 2 subnets, okay? One for the cluster, one for the workers or nodes, okay? The cluster is going to have access to the internet. The pods will not have access to the internet for now, okay? So we're gonna call this the subnets private and public. The public one is for the cluster, right? And the private one for the pods. So we want people from the internet to have access to the cluster. You don't have to do that. You can manage it from the console if you want to, but I'm just gonna do as much as you can for you to start grasping all these concepts, public cloud, cloud native, and all this stuff, right? I know I'm talking a little bit fast, but I'm trying to make these videos short, entertaining, and fast for you to rewatch if needed, pause, rewatch, and so on, okay? So VPC, we have the CIDR in here, okay, that's good. We're gonna choose VPC, okay. So that's it. We got the name, okay? I'm gonna just copy the name. We got the CIDR. Don't worry about the tags for now. Just create a VPC. Done. Okay, we're good in there. Now I'm gonna click in here into VPC again. In case you wanna I didn't show you how to get there, but just type VPC in there and we'll take you to the same page. Okay. So VPC, as you can see, our Cloud Native VPC is there. Now let's connect this VPC to a gateway, okay? The internet gateway. So let's go to internet gateway. Let's create a gateway. Let's call it Abalo cloud. Actually, I'm just gonna paste this in here. Internet gateway, IGW, internet gateway, right? So I'm gonna create a gateway. And now I need to attach this gateway to the VPC that I just created 2 seconds ago. Let's go, attach VPC, and look who is there, the VPC that I just created. Boom, done. You're learning networking right now for AWS. This is for customizing the networking before you deploy the clustering for Kubernetes, okay? So now after we do that, what can we do after that? Let's go and create a route table, okay? So when you create a route table, let's call it here Abalo Cloud Native, and let's call it RT, okay? And the RT or routing table needs to be attached to the same VPC. So the same VPC for everything. Create route table, done. Now let's go again to route tables. As you can see, it creates 2, the main one and like a backup one, okay? So, and you can see the VPC attached here. You can see VPC attached here. Okay, so what we need to do now, I see there is no name. So what about if we rename the main one? Let's go here, RT, and we call it main. And then there is a backup one, and we call it backup. And the one in the middle, it was already there. I didn't create that one, right? Okay, we're good. So what's next now? Well, at least now we can create subnets. So let's create 2 subnets, one for the EKS cluster and one for the pods, or sorry, for the workers or nodes. And what is the workers or nodes? It's where you host the pods, the containers, and all those applications that you want to be deploying for front-end databases, anything you can think of. But the cluster is basically like 2 machines over here, and I'm going to create a node group, which is 2 computers that will make the node group the workers. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. So as you can see, all this is the file. Okay, I'm going to create 2 custom subnets, and they need to be attached to the same VPC that we have been working on. Okay, you can see the same site that I used before. So let's call this one Abalo Cloud Native subnet. I'm going to call it private. Okay, private, just like that. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to allocate the private one in zone 8 on the US East Virginia here. And the second one going to be in a different zone, maybe B, but not in the same one. Otherwise, it will not work, okay? So you can see the cider here. We have to split the subnet. Okay, so I can use this 24. We know the private is that 1.0, right? For private. Good. I'm going to say create subnet. And the name is there. Let's create another one. Attach to the same VPC, right? Let's call this one public. All right. We say A before. Now let's do B here because they're going to be in separate zone in case one fails, the other one takes over. Okay. And the subnet, we're going to use 2.0 for this one. 2.0. And again, why I'm doing this, because most videos out there and trainings, they use defaults. I need you to learn public cloud while you're learning cloud native. That's a trick. That's why you are coming with me to my team for me to coach you. I'm going to be basically on call every night, or sometimes I'm super busy, but I'm going to have sessions every week with my students and the people who is basically in the dojo already. Right? So that's what basically a one-time lifetime membership. 2.0, and then we got public, and now we got private in different zones. So I'm just gonna create in here, and now we have private and we got public in here. Okay, 1 and 2, as you can see. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, do we create the routing tables? No yet. So now let's create routing tables. Okay. Oh no, we already did. Okay, so we need to attach a subnets to the routing tables. Okay, so let's use the main one here for now. You could have one gateway, you can have one routing table for the pods if you want to. As long as they're connected to the same VPC, it's not a problem. But in this case, we're gonna simplify it. We're gonna use the main routing table in here. And basically, we need this routing table to allow access to the internet for the cluster, because we're gonna give access to the cluster, right, using SSH or 443, right, from the internet to the cluster, not to the pods, not for now. I'm not gonna get there yet, okay? So I'm gonna say here, as you can see, subnet associations. Nothing is associated to this route. Nothing is happening here, but I can click over here, action. I can say edit subnet associations. I'm only going to give access to the public. We know it's a Class C, Class C IP address there, or subnet, 192.168.2, and we call it public. I know it could be confusing, but don't worry about that. It's only, we're referring to internet access. From the internet to the cluster, and guess to where? There is a component inside the cluster called the API server. That's exactly what you will give access to the API server inside the cluster. Not to the workers, not to the nodes, not to the pods. I'm talking about the cluster itself. We haven't created, we're gonna create that soon, okay? So let's go to, let's save this, okay? Excellent. Now, people from the internet, we have access to the API server inside the cluster, but we're still missing something, okay? So we need to allow that access, and we're gonna create a route for that. We associated the subnet, but we haven't associated the internet access, destination, everything outside there, right? I'm gonna say internet gateway in here. Again, I'm going to attach the VPC that we created before, the same VPC for everyone, okay? Done. Okay, we're good here now. All right, let's go to the next step. What are we missing now? We are missing basically access to, we need a security group now. So let's go to security group, and let's try to create two security groups. One for the cluster and one for the workers and nodes, okay? So let's put a name in here, cloud native. So SG EKS, I'm gonna call it like that. I'm gonna say SSH, so maybe we just want to throw code in there. Let's put HTTPS just in case. We have a tool, a vendor out there that we develop, or an existing one that we can manage a cluster using a graphical user interface. So then let's find the right ports. We say SSH to everything, basically. Any IP, good. Let me add another one, HTTPS. Okay. IPv4, we're good. So now we're creating a security group for the cluster. Excellent. So now let's create another one. Security groups in here. I would love to name it here properly. Let's create another one for the pods. SG, let's call this one workers. Workers or nodes. Okay. Yeah, 22.443. Okay. Well, now I can remember if I attached a VPC previously. Okay, I'll finish doing this one for now. And then I'm going to use SSH again. A rule. And here you can customize. Let's say if you only you from home and you know your public IP address, you can enter your public IP here. So you make it more granular, more secure. Okay. So now let's use HTTPS. And now let's use, that should be good like that for now. Okay. Now we can save this. Now I need to verify that I use the correct VPC for, let me just rename this one here. Workers. I can't remember if I did attach a VPC. So I can click in here. And, well, yeah, looks like I didn't. Let me see, this one ends on 8543. Okay, just let's do something. Let me just delete the previous one, this one, for the AKS, just to make sure that everything went good there. So let's do action, delete security group. Refresh. Create security group. EKS again. Just want to make sure I did this right. Abalo Cloud Native. SSH again. Add. It's gonna HTTPS. Okay. Anywhere for now. Remember, it could be granular. We're just doing this on the fly so you can have an idea of how to deploy this fast and become a machine. You can also use automation tools like Ansible, Puppets, Terraform, and deploy all these and communicate with AWS. Basically no GUI, only code. Okay, that's called infrastructure as code. Okay, but we're doing it this way too because we're gonna be the best of the best. I'm gonna show you how to do all this with automation, in the GUI, in different clouds, on premise, and you become number one in platform engineering. That's just gonna be your main career for everything. And then once you become so good at it, I'm gonna show you how to deploy enterprise blockchains or centralized blockchains. So enterprise, centralized, permissioned blockchains, same thing. Or maybe you're gonna deploy platforms for developing AI models, or you want to be, I don't know, deploying any application you think of. Okay, so let's keep going. We have two security groups. We have a main gateway now. Okay, and we have route tables, and we have subnets, and we have VPC. So let's see how this looks on the map. So you're gonna come over here, VPCs. You're gonna go to resource map over here, and you can see basically the infrastructure of how it looks. So we have the VPC that we created. We had two subnets. They both connect to this routing table, 95. Okay, so this is probably the backup one, right? RT, and this is the main one, and they're connected to the main gateway that we created. So if I click over here, to subnet association, to routes. Okay, if I click over here, it will open up the route table, and we can see that the entire CIDR is added in here as a routes, but only there is one explicit subnet association, and that's a pool one for the cluster. 2.0 is for the cluster. 1.0 for the workers. Okay, so we should be good there. All right. So what are we missing now after you do all this networking? It's pretty much already. Let's create a key pair. Sometimes when you want to give access to the machines and all that, you need a key pair. Maybe I should do that right now. Create a key. Let me see if I can do that. I'm gonna call it this symmetric key. Okay, next. I'm gonna call this key Abalo Cloud Native. This one could be done after, but I'm just gonna try to do it now. Key pair. EKS. Next. So who's going to be the administrator for this? Well, I have to use these two users that I will use. Okay. And I'm gonna say next in here. Probably the AKS too. I'm gonna give access for these roles. These ones are basically roles to manage AKS. For now, I'm gonna say next for support, trusted. Actually, you can go. I'm gonna choose all these because I'm gonna do a bunch of labs for now. So it's okay for now. But basically, you're gonna make this granular. But I'm not gonna show you all this in here. So I want you to come to me. I want you to work with me, and you're gonna have those fancy PDF that I'm making. Okay, and those fancy PDF that will be here. There is a section for cloud underground in here, where you have to sign up and find some of those documents, but you need to basically talk to me first, do business with me, and then you have access, and then you have access to the private Discord server over here. Look at this Discord server, fancy one for AI, blockchain, cloud native, cybersecurity. By the way, most of us were cyber guys, hackers too. So much to learn here with us. We got a lot of experienced people here. So let's keep going. We got the networking done, or the VPCs. We got the VPCs ready, the subnets, the routing tables, the internet gateway, security groups, and all that. So let's go to the next phase. What's the next phase? You're supposed to be doing the roles, but I'm not going to show you that in here. But I can show you one sneak peek of how it looks like, right? You can see here, we start over here. And remember, if you have a cluster where you're going to be developing different applications or technologies, most of the time, if you're developing blockchain technologies, centralized blockchains and all that, they use containers. So the peers or nodes that do the blockchain transactions, decryption and all that, they are Docker containers, and they use Kubernetes, okay? We're actually working on it right now, slowly, but we're working on it. And then you have access to how to create the roles, what specific policies do you need for them, right? You're going to have all that in here. But I've done that hard work, and I'm not going to show you that in here. So now we're ready to deploy one elastic Kubernetes service, okay? You're going to do that after on Entra or Azure. You're going to do that on Google. You're going to do that on-premise. And maybe you connect all these clusters together, and then you have failover, redundancy, scalability, everything between all these clustering all over the place. That's amazing. That's an amazing way of thinking on how to be the best of the best of what you do, so things will never fail. Whether you are in Alibaba, Azure, Google, and just having all these pods, applications. Oh, if that one failed, no, maybe that one will take over there, or this one will be better because that one was in Asia. We have one specific CDN here and there and there. Anyways, your terminology is gonna get so huge. You're gonna talk about service mesh, proxy, load balancers, you name it. So it's gonna be so much in here. Now let's go to create, right? We are already on the page for Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service. Let's say create. Let's call this one Abalo. Actually, let me paste in here. Abalo EKS, right? Now I have one role that I use for this one, and this one will be the EKS role. Again, you can click over here, create a new one, and then you will assign the policies that I already have in the documents for you, okay? So now we're gonna say standard version, cluster access, yes, config map. This is where you have important configurations, usernames and stuff like that, API keys, really important. If you have to work with this stuff manually, it's a lot of work sometimes, but Amazon is making things easier for you. Amazon is good. Send the other platforms as well. And now let's do next. What VPC? Remember, it has to be the same VPC where we created the networking. Okay, and look, we already have A and B, different availability zones for the same VPC. Okay, if you cannot create this cluster in a different VPC, it will not work. Have to be the same VPCs where you will create all your networking features, gateways, routing tables, VPCs, and all that. Don't forget about that. Security group. Remember, we created 2 security groups, one for the workers and one for the EKS service. So let's use the EKS service. Okay. Now, so you're gonna use public and private, because the public basically will be for the the workers. Sorry, for the clustering service. Okay. So just make sure you choose that. We'll show you more about networking in the future. Okay. But basically what it says, the cluster endpoint is accessible from outside of your VPC. Yes, that's what we want. Worker node traffic to the endpoint will stay between your VPC, private. That's exactly what we want for now. And then it's going to offer you want to start Prometheus, right? For observability, monitoring the logs and all that, right? Prometheus is an open source monitoring toolkit. We have people in the dojo who specialize in Prometheus, right? Whether you use Linode hosted on this small Raspberry API. This is how everything started here, right? Raspberry, not Yapon, a company that we used to do fancy stuff. All right, so let's say you send the Prometheus metrics to Amazon Managed Services. Do I want to do that right now? Probably no. I'm okay for now. We're gonna become a specialist on this, right? You have to do also your work. Otherwise, I will never finish what I'm trying to tell you. But this is why we're gonna have more people, and then we help each other because it's a lot of components. Cloud native is huge. Okay, so let's go quickly to the cloud native page. Okay, cloud native. Where's main page? Right here. The Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF, right? Over here, you're gonna find tons of training, and you can see all the companies that are part of the Cloud Native, right? Ixio networking here, Kubernetes is there, Docker is there, Linux is there, and many other companies. A lot of graduated companies now there. All right, so let's keep going. EKS. Right, these basic components, some of them are required for sure. You cannot do anything about it, right? So it's like mandatory. You can add an extra security service on Amazon if you want to, right? You can read about it, pause it in here, read what it is, right? Go next. This is you can change the versions. Maybe there is a problem with a vulnerability in a version. Who knows, right? I'm gonna go next. I think you got that. And now review and create. All right, let's go next. All right, this is gonna take like 15, more than 10 minutes. So I'm gonna pause this video in here. Once the cluster is ready, the EKS cluster, okay? I'm gonna open the cluster. I'm gonna show you what is inside the cluster. It will be creating some machines, and then we have to create the nodes or workers too, separate, okay? So we'll get there and give you another overview. All right, so it looks like the cluster is now active. It was created, okay? So now let's see. I'm going back to EKS again here on the top, so you can see the whole picture. So here is the name, Abalo Cloud Native -EKS. All right, version 130. There's some support, created 14 minutes ago. Okay, provider EKS, which is Amazon. Right. So let's click inside here, and let's see what do we see inside. Okay, so let's go with resources. What kind of resources we got inside here? Okay, so the pods are not there. There's nothing to see there for now, right? There is some daemons services in there. Let's see the cluster. The cluster nodes are still not there. Okay, they should be coming soon. Okay, the networking. Okay, there is stuff that is still getting ready. Okay, the config map, we know what it is. You will not read that in our trainings. And if we go into the compute zone in here, inside the cluster, EKS cluster, there is no groups, there's nothing. Okay, so what I will do for now, I'm going to stop this video one more time, and I'm gonna wait until all this is basically ready. As you can see, we can see that the cluster itself, right? We know it belongs to the IPv4 family, but you see the service range is nothing that I provided, right? It's different, right? So I'm going to click into this VPC, and let's see what VPC thinks it is. Because we were using the 192.168. But look, it's right there. So whatever it does, it knows that it belongs to the correct VPC. Okay. If I go into the subnets, it also knows that the subnets are the CIDR for the 192.168.0.0. Right here. Oh, this is the for the cluster. Sorry, for the cluster. That's correct. Yes. And this one right here, the second one must be the one for the pods. The 1.0. So that's good. So you are in the networking section. So let's see the cluster security info. It's going to take us to the security group, and we know that it is for the EKS cluster. Right? Okay, we're good there. Everything seems to be fine. No traffic. What else can we check in here? So if you sign up for Grafana, sorry, Prometheus and all the other observability tools, it will show up here. I didn't enable that, otherwise it would show up here for you to see all the logs or whatever was happening inside the cluster or the pods. You can also implement that yourself. You don't have to use Amazon services. You can have a pod inside, right? And just deploy Grafana, Elasticsearch, Prometheus, anything you want, pretty much. Okay. So resources again, let's see if I see any information about the nodes or cluster. There's nothing here yet. So, but we have all the services, all the daemons are running. So I'm going to stop this one more time because I want to show you that. Okay. So let's stop this video for a few seconds. Yeah, I'm just thinking in the meantime, what we could do, we can go into the compute zone and we can create basically the workers or nodes. So let's try to add a group over here. Let's call this one Abalo. Let me see. I got the name here. Abalo worker nodes. Same thing. Okay, I have a role for that, which I didn't explain you the roles, but I have them over here where I break down all the policies that the roles needs to have. You're also gonna have a PDF document, right? So let's go back to EKS. And now we can go next. Now you need to specify the hardware requirements. I'm gonna choose what I have here, default T3, 20 gigabytes, basically. I'm gonna choose the Amazon Linux machine, nothing fancy in there. 2 nodes, it's good, minimum size 2. And then I'm going to say next in here. I need to pair the 2 subnets that we talked about it before, right? The public and private. And then we should be able to see, it says if you want to configure remote access to the nodes. Maybe for now, yeah, remember that I created a key. I'm gonna say enable in case I want to do that later on. But it looks like I did not create it. I have a key, but I'm not gonna use it for now. But you can do that after if you want to. You can enable that feature after. So I'm going to say next. That's for you to have SSH access. I'm gonna say next in here. I'm going to say create. Okay, I'm going to stop the video one more time here and we'll come back when this is ready. All right, so we're back here. So now let's go again to the EKS. And we're gonna confirm that we have all the pods and the nodes and all that. It took a while. I'll explain you what I did. One mistake that I did, it wasn't something huge or anything like that. So we're gonna log into our EKS cluster, the only one that we have. And let's go to resources again, okay? In resources, now we were going to pods. We didn't have anything in pods. Now we have it. We have pods now, okay? And if you go to the cluster, we can see the nodes. This is the cluster. You can see the IP addresses in here. 192.168.1.55 and 192.168.2.88. Okay. And all the namespaces for the extra services that we're using from AWS. What else can we set? Yeah, the config mat, config mat where you basically share configurations. Save configurations. We're gonna talk about all these little the other characteristics or features or components of the cluster later on, but this is just to show you how the node is created. You can see here 5588, 2 nodes. This is the group. Okay. So now what you have done today, you're learning how to use cloud native and learning public cloud. In this case, it's AWS. You're learning how to do VPCs in AWS, route tables. You're learning how to do gateways, security groups. You know now that the cluster have its own basically security group. Same for the nodes. The nodes also have their own security groups. You know how to check the networking and the VPCs, right? If you go to VPCs. So yeah, this is how it looks like. There is other services in here like Amazon ECR. And I click in here. I never used the ECR before, but we're gonna use this one. Okay, Amazon Elastic Container Registry. Very good. We're gonna be using that a lot too, right? There is another one here. It's called. Let me go back here. Looking for the batch one. So we're gonna try to use most of the Amazon services related to AKS. EKS. So let's go back again to VPCs real quick. In the next few videos, I'm gonna show you how to connect to EC2 instance, and then you jump into the cluster. I will try to show you how to connect from home, right, to the EKS cluster. And I'm going to show you how to connect from the instance EC2 to the pods or to the nodes workers. And maybe we allow some internet access for some applications later on. Okay, we'll do as much as we can in AWS, then we jump into Azure or Entra, then we jump into Google Cloud. So I hope you like the video. Oh, I'll show you the mistake. I forgot to show you the mistake that I did. So if you go to subnets and you click into the subnets that we created and try to edit the subnet settings, this box in here. So if you don't check the enable auto-assign public IP addresses in here, it will fail. So make sure you enable that box, okay? And then if you want to check the whole scope of the networking, you come into resource map over here, and you can see how the networking is done here too, okay? How all this connects. If you want to go back to EKS, it's active, version 1.30. You can see the resources. You can see all the pods now. You can see the clusters for the nodes that were created. Okay. What else can we show you here that should be really relevant? The roles. We're gonna show you the roles. It's on the PDF. So you're gonna have PDF. You're gonna have these videos. You're gonna have our support. It's basically I'll be there for the people who joins the team. And the more people we get, the more we can improve how to use Kubernetes in every single environment. 100% cloud agnostic, whether it's on premise, a private VPS, and the public cloud, and we can connect and cluster all the even containers. And we learn how to scale everything. We learn how to do load balancing. We learn how to use the proxies, how to do all the observability and monitoring, which is more of a role of the SRE engineer. And then slowly you're going to be building on these tools. Remember, everyone is using this, whether you're doing blockchain or AI, you still need an infrastructure. And Kubernetes right now is something huge. So I hope you like the video. I'm Jorge with Abalo's Cloud Native Technologies with a partnership with Cloud on the Ground and the DevSecOps Dojo. Feel free to check our website, my website here, cloud.ca, this tab, and you're gonna find more information about, we talk about mental health, we talk about pushing each other, supporting each other. We're gonna have a store for SaaS applications that we're gonna develop in-house, and we can sell the applications together. We're gonna do consultancy work together, and we want you to learn the top skills so we can bring you on board to do consultancy work with us. My company here, Cloud Canada, or in the US, Cloud on the Ground. And we have other two companies around that you could be working with. So again, happy Thanksgiving, October 14, 2024. Jorge, thank you very much and have a good night.